Hello guys, and welcome back to Joe's Adventures, and today we're doing something a little special today for JWE. So I'm going to give you a little laydown on the story here. Well, how this started was there was a couple really silly joke mods that came out that were saying that, oh, woolly mammoth for JWE, and yeah, a lot of people just said, yeah, alright, it was funny. Some people made a video on it, laughed here and there, but then Siaka, we all know Siaka, if you remember him from, he's done a few mods. He did that Overraptor back all the way in part 1 or 2, or in one of those parts through there. Even like in the new species one, he did a few mods here and there. Then he decided to do a whole bunch of new mammals this past week, which was super duper awesome to see. So I think you'll be surprised to see what we'll learn in here, and we're going to start off with the one that started it all. We're going to start off with the... You're going to wait for it. Here we have got the Columbian Mammoth, believe it or not. Now just look at this beastie. So, for you that don't know, the Columbian Mammoth is a species of mammoth that lived in the United States for a decent amount of time, became extinct at the end of the Ice Age along with a lot of other megafauna. And it has a really interesting history about it that I wanted to explain in this video, because we know so much about this animal, it's ridiculous. So yeah, it evolved from the steppe mammoth, which was a large mammoth that lived across the Bering Strait, and in Asia there was a population about 400,000 years ago that came through the Bering Strait into the Americas, and then they split off, and the American group became the Columbian mammoth, and the Eurasian group became the woolly mammoth, which is obviously the very famous woolly mammoth. And the Columbian mammoth is huge. They got up to about 13 feet tall at the shoulder, even probably bigger than that. Yeah, 13 feet at the shoulder, or about 4 meters tall, and got up to 10 tons, so pretty much a lot bigger than modern elephants. And woolly mammoths, they're close relatives, which got similar in size to modern elephants. And they lived all across the United States in a lot of different habitats, parkland areas, and there's even species that descended from the Columbian mammoth that lives on a small island off the coast of California called the Channel Islands, which is a pygmy mammoth, which only got to about 6 feet tall. So not very big in that way. And we even have a lot of evidence that they were interbreeding with woolly mammoths when their ranges mixed over. So it's very similar to how some African bush elephants on the edge of their ranges, the big bulls will overpower and take over some females from the forest elephants. So something very similar like that going on. And even some of that point, some people have argued that they might even be different species from steppe mammoths and such, but there's not really enough sample size to decide that. So yeah, they got to very big, and we know quite a lot about them just because we have places like La Brea tar pits and some other natural traps that have preserved a lot of mammoth bones, so we can have a good idea about their dynamics and the population dynamics and such. And we know from that is that they lived very similarly to like African elephants, and like they had different males would go off and do their own thing once they got old enough. And the reason we know this is because a lot of the ones stuck in these traps, like La Brea, were obviously a lot of young males that hadn't really just left the herd, but often the most likely ones to take risks. So what we know there is that the males would have lived with by themselves or with other bulls, and the females would have lived in matriarchal herds, which is pretty cool to know from these species. And they do obviously have these very big tusks here, which is quite famous. And yeah, then we also have a lot of evidence of them being hunted, like young ones being hunted by Homotherium with the scimitar-toothed cat. And we have a lot of, obviously, a lot of names of them living through around North America. And we know that they kind of lived in more open areas, similar to bush elephants versus something like an Asian elephant or a mastodon. So there could have been some niche partitioning there. So they like these open areas where they would form larger herds and move around and just migrate and do their own thing. And what it looks like, they would have needed about 180 kilos a day, so a little bit more than modern elephants to survive and live. And they would have foraged for about 20 hours a day. So they really lived on a mix of whatever they could find, a mix of, they weren't very picky, just ate whatever they can, lots of grasses, lots of leaves and such. They particularly liked saltbush and sagebrush and blue spruce. That's what they particularly liked. And it's kind of similar to woolly mammoths, but woolly mammoths did not browse nearly as much just because the mammoth steppe itself didn't have very much in terms of plants, trees and such. So it would have been a lot of grasses and such. Where they lived, there would have been a lot more wooded areas, which is pretty cool. And we know they would have lived for about 80 years. And we can tell this by counting the growth rings in their tusks, so we know they could live up to 80 years. And they would continue to grow, males would continue to grow until they're 40, and females up to 25. And like elephants today, they'd have a 22 months gestation. And very similar to that, they would kind of just, once their molars gave out, they would succumb to starvation and die. Yeah, they're found pretty much all over the southern half of the North America, from Mexico and Costa Rica, and all the way up to kind of like Ohio at the edge of the giant ice glacier that was up there during the Ice Age, when it receded and came forth. And with a lot of, sadly, with a lot of the Ice Age megafauna, with a combination of things like climate change and human hunting, it really affected these animals, especially the clovers. What it affected these animals and probably drove them into extinction, sadly. So yeah, a combination of that. And there's like things like the Dryas, where there could have been a meteorhead. It's a very interesting thing if you want to research on that. The Pleistocene extinction. A lot of people say, oh, it's just people or just climate change, but it's really so much more interesting. And if you want to do your research on it, it really is a cool thing to talk about and learn about in the ice, about the end of the Ice Age. So yeah, we'll go back into our mode here. Oh, that's a bit wrong. So you want to go around. So we can see here, it fits surprisingly well on the Camarasaurus. It looks so good actually. You can see here, where's a good look? I want to get one in the sun. I'll just wait for you to walk past there. See, really got this very distinctive look from the elephants here. It's got a very sloped back, and it's not as hairy as a woolly mammoth, of course, but we do have some small hairs on here. We just need to get one in the light. There's one in the light here. You can see he's got these shorter hairs. He's got this very domed face. Looks awesome. Very huge tusks. What's awesome is that we have a couple of specimens of males that have locked tusks and died in that position. So that's really cool to know. You can see it fits surprisingly well on the rig here. So look. The only thing really that's noticeable that doesn't look right is trunk doesn't work. It just kind of just replaces the neck. It doesn't really replace the neck at all. So look, you can see feeding here. You don't see the trunk raise up just because there's no animation for it. Remember, this is just planted on the Camarasaurus, but it's still, the walk itself looks surprisingly great for a mammoth. It looks pretty much spot on. So yeah, this is a very, very cool animal, and I love it. So I really hope you guys enjoy that. Siaka really outdid himself with this. There were a couple joke mammoth mods, and then we finally got our mammoth mod, and we gotta say, it looks amazing. Just gotta appreciate it. Just look at this big boy. Elephants have always had a special place in my heart. Really amazing. So we'll move on to the next one here. we have got something from the Mammoth Steppe, which is where the obviously woolly mammoths roamed. You can see them there, but we don't want to spoil it yet. We have got the woolly rhinoceros. So here we have the woolly rhino. A very cool boy indeed. So, woolly rhinos were descended from another rhino called Stephryrhinus, I believe. It's the sister group of them, so that's they're believed to have a common ancestor with them. I can see you have a drink here. And they've got very similar in size to white rhinos, but the main difference, as you can see here, they have their backs a lot more rounded and sloped, and they have obviously very hairy and then slightly different horns. They're very similar ecology as well, feeding on lots of grasses since the Mammoth Steppe didn't have too much in terms of trees. Very, very flat and grassy environment. That's what we know. And these look very hairy, of course. We have a lot of fossil specimens that shows that they have this like weird thick undercoat of fur and then this long outer hair to protect it. And it would have got up to 50 centimeters long, some of these hairs, which is so cool. They had smaller ears and tails, shorter ears and tails I mean, to prevent heat loss in the colder Mammoth Steppe up in Siberia where they lived. And not just in Siberia, they lived all across like Eurasia and even in around the Himalayas too. So there's very interesting long horns like that. Very similar to modern rhinos in a lot of ways. So let's show how to feed here. So yeah, lived on the Mammoth Steppe with woolly mammoths, lots of horses, Homotherium. Then we can watch her graze. That's quite cool actually. Feeding a lot of grass and sedges and such, mosses, whatever it can really on the ground. It's found lowland plateaus, river valleys. Lived with mammoths. And even Megaloceros is another good example. And even Elasmotherium, which was like a giant woolly rhino with one big horn. Very cool animal indeed. And sadly, became extinct at the end of the Ice Age for similar reasons as the Columbian Mammoth and a lot of those other megafauna. Combination of hunting and a lot of other very interesting and controversial ideas may have played a role in their extinction, which is pretty sad, but we know quite a lot about them actually. We have a few fossil, frozen specimens that have been preserved, so we get to learn a lot about their anatomy from that, along with their hair and such, which is so cool. Same with woolly mammoths too. It's really cool that we know so much about an extinct animal like that. Looks chilling in here. So yeah, this replaces the Torosaurus, and believe it or not, it fits it ridiculously well actually, I think. You can see because a lot of the animations for the dinosaurs in JWE are obviously not for mammals, but based on mammals, like how they gallop and such. Because real life, a lot of dinosaurs wouldn't be able to gallop and run like they would here. So it really fits quite well on these mammals actually, seeing them gallop and run, because we know rhinos were able to gallop and all that. Or are able to gallop, because they're not extinct yet. But yeah, it's so cool to see this, and even the fur's a little bit wacky, but considering the limitations, it looks pretty cool. So yeah, very nice rhino mod. Now that's pretty awesome. So now, lucky last, or last but certainly not least, we have a little carnival going on. So what we have here is a little thing called Now this is Kelenken, which is... Let's see what we're looking for. I put a Psittacosaurus in there for him to hunt so we can have a look at the animations. So we can have a good look at Kelenken right here. You alright? There you are. I bet you was gonna come for it. Oh, that's such a poor boy. I did not expect that right away. But yeah, Kelenken is a giant forest raccoon, or belongs to the group of forest raccoons, which is colloquially known as the terror birds, that lived in South America during the, basically from the late Oligocene to early Pleistocene. They even lived in, some of them got to North America when North and South America joined up around 5 million years ago. So things like Titanus managed to get into America. But Kelenken was one of the more early ones, and one of the biggest. They got up to about 2 meters tall and are very charismatic for having this very long shaped skull, having a very big boxy skull like that, which is pretty cool. I think we'll try and get another one of those. We know they lived about 15 million years ago in the Colon Cubra Formation in western Patagonia, or around Argentina. And with the largest of all the forest raccoons that we know of. And we know that they were a predator. They would often hunt as they would their dad. They'd go and try and kill whatever they can. They'll just go and hammer it with their beaks, from what we believe, feeding on whatever they can find, really. We don't know too much about formation, but we know there was a lot of weird South American mammals that it could have fed on. So yeah, I think what we're going to do is quickly make ourselves another Psittacosaurus, which is pretty much homocephalate. It should take no more than... Watch this, we'll make it whiz by super quick. We're gonna have a look more at this beautiful animal. So yeah, there's a lot of forest raccoons. Where is he going? There he is. A lot of forest raccoons around North and South America. Mainly South America, just because they evolved in South America. And the closest relatives today are the Seraimas, which are a bunch of smaller birds. They look very similar to terror birds, but just a lot smaller. They look like they have little raptor claws, which is so cool, and they hunt in very similar ways, using their talons and their beaks to try and rip apart prey. Very interesting group. And I really like the design of this Kelenken. You can see here. We'll wait until it gets into the light here. Just look at that. You can see these feathers around the face, nice red eyes, primary feathers there. So they were primarily flightless. As you can see, they didn't have very big wings. That's why they were basically giant murder chickens. You wouldn't want to mess with them. You can see the tail feathers there, picture style there, reduced wings. Very cool how they did the feathers and hair. It's obviously a little bit finicky, but I think the Kelenken is the best example of it. It just looks really nice. It really helps. I think it really helps that they didn't go overboard with it. Siaka did. He just did it in areas that needed to have some fluffy definition, around the face and the back. So we can see. It replaces the baryonyx, of course. So I think it fits it pretty much spot on. So having a sleep there. That's adorable. Look at that. You're a cutie. Even though you're a 7 foot tall giant murder bird. Though about tallest they got were about 2 meters tall, so about 6'6", but I like saying 7 foot just to round it up more. It's technically how you round, almost. It's very cute. Let's see if should probably let him out and see what happens. And then afterwards we're gonna take it to kill a person. Because we are evil like that. We want it... Because the other time...
We are pleased to welcome our Homo to the park.
Sitting hanging out in the grass. Make it cinematic. Watch this, we'll watch it slow. See how it comes in, running up, lining up for an attack. Hits it, smacks it up, pulls it, ooh, in the long grass. Wow, wow, wow. Poor little Psittacosaurus. You gonna have a feed? Or you just want to kill things? I think what we'll do is we'll take our rangers, try and tranquilize you,
no problem,
so we can take you out and put you on the around here so we can see you knob on some unlucky people, because why not? But yeah, I can't believe that they just added mammoths and rhinos and terror birds to this game. I think they fit surprisingly well. Especially this Kelenken. I really love this Kelenken. I think Kelenken is a very underrated terror bird, because when you think of terror birds you think of Titanus, because it's probably the most famous, but this one's probably the most weirdest looking with its long skull like that. See, watch him get tranquilized. Gonna run away. Run off into the underbrush. Shouldn't take too long to knock it down. See it there. Yeah. See, that didn't take long. Not long at all. So let's grab her and put her
en route to collect the asset. Acknowledging asset collection request.
So then we'll see her attack and kill some people, which will always be fun. Look at these wonderful mammoths. Who doesn't love mammoths? You're not happy. It's because I didn't put enough forest in for you. I think you'll live. Beautiful mammoths and wonderful rhinos.
Asset transportation underway.
And terrible
asset has been collected.
Not terrible, just scary. Who doesn't love a good old burp? So let's watch and see how they attack people.
Asset has been delivered.
Let's see. You gonna go attack someone? Or are you just gonna walk around and do your own thing? happy, are you? Just watch this. Let's just fix that up. Want to make sure we're doing it right. He's tripping up. Is that a she? Yeah, that's a she. Let's put on cinematic view. Ooh, she tripped up. Ooh. Ooh, damn. Now that looks like it hurts. Shaking her about. Is she dead? That's a death and a half. Clearly not too phased. Everyone's running around as much as they can so they can get away. So you're gonna kill someone else? Oh, they're taking the vehicles. Let's see if we kill this girl as well. Get her at a different view. Perfect view right there, actually. Oh, comes in. And she's gone. So yeah, very, very dangerous bird. I would not want to deal with you. I feel like you'd bite me and kill me just like you killed her. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I really hope we get more of these mods. I might have to make this its own little series, like looking at different animals from the Cenozoic and really weird different animals. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed going through and looking at all these wonderful animals, because honestly I love big mammals. I love drawing them. They're just anatomy so interesting. It's so interesting to see how things that we consider normal came to be. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to go sort out our Kelenken next. So yeah, hopefully you guys like and subscribe, and bye bye.